And finally, I do want to touch on ketamine and PTSD. Again, PTSD has been something we've been studying for many years, and we sort of discovered the stellate ganglion block can help with PTSD many years ago. And what we really discovered from that was the central mechanism. So it was important that we discovered that there was a procedure that can stop PTSD, or at least put it into remission. But what was more important is we were able to discover that it was a central condition and how that central condition actually worked. And now we have ketamine to really act on those same, within that same mechanism, right on the receptors in the brain. Improvements with PTSD with ketamine. And this is actually probably what a lot of people have seen decades ago in the battlefield, when they used ketamine in the battlefield. And they were finding that those patients, those soldiers, had survived and they did better. Well, they survived because, again, it had those cardiovascular protective and the respiratory protective effects. But what also happened is it reduced a lot of that central sensitization, a lot of the PTSD. It reduced that, and such a traumatic event, it reduced that and allowed those patients to survive and maybe even thrive. So you're going to see this, you're going to continue seeing ketamine as probably the one of the emerging, if not the emerging treatments for PTSD, because we've seen complete remission, of course, remission, right? It comes back, but we've seen complete remission on a ton of soldiers and patients that have had PTSD. All right, finally, lack of challenges to treatment. Well, number one, lack of education. This kind of stuff is not taught in any medical school or any residency. I think to this day, I doubt there's a lecture like this in any schools. So that's a problem. Sometimes physician stereotypes or healthcare stereotypes. Oh, like I still get this. Oh, you're using horse tranquilizers. It's like, you know what? Well, horses drink water too, so maybe we should stop using that, right? We see a lot of these stereotypes, and it's unfortunate. We've seen egos. This is what this little slide here. This was an anesthesiologist, interventional pain physician, who's the head of a program, a training program, and he literally is commenting that things like CRPS or central sensitization are completely made up. So he literally thinks the central nervous system, the brain, is this mythical structure that doesn't process pain. And part of the reason for that is because this person is very, very vested on the other side of the financial industry, if you know what I mean. So we see that, and it's tough. It's tough. We have facility logistical issues. So like if we're trying to do a ketamine infusion, where can we do it? I mean, for us, we set it up in a surgery center so we can have all of our safety and resource equipment and nurses and everything available. But that takes a lot of resources. A lot of hospitals don't want to commit those resources because, quite frankly, it doesn't reimburse well, and that's one of the big problems too. There's minimal reimbursement. Insurance companies still aren't recognizing this as a valid treatment in many cases, and when they do, they pay so little. For multiple hours of care, we get paid the same as a procedure that could take me 15 minutes to do. So we do it obviously because it's the right thing to do, but financially it makes no sense. And complexity of treatment and complexity of science. I mean, there is a little bit of, it's not just hook them up to ketamine. There's a little more to it than that.